Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about something quite philosophical and quite deep. I wanted to address this topic because we all go through moments in our lives where we sort of question what the meaning of life is. And this can often be caused by our careers or our jobs. My job it is a good job, it pays the bills, but it is making me question whether I should do something else because it is lacking meaning for me. I've made the weakest coffee in the world, but I don't want to put another shot in it because it's quite late in the day now. I say quite late, it's only like 1:45. Let's just talk about the origins of this whole topic. Surprisingly though, I feel like this topic wasn't talked about until very recently. In the 1950s, for example, there was this very stereotypical role of men and women in society. Obviously, women were expected to take care of the domestic sphere, and they would be the housewives and cook the dinner and clean and have everything ready for when the husband came home from work. And then obviously the husband would be the breadwinner who would bring home the bacon. Even in society as a whole, there wasn't a lot of questioning what your life was and what the meaning of your life was. So oftentimes families in society would inherit their careers from their parents. So they would either take on the family business, for example, or they would do something very similar, if not the exact same role that their parents would do. This often was brought down from father to son, and the reason that men wanted to have sons was of course to pass this role down. So that is how it worked, and there wasn't a lot of freedom. But as society has progressed and developed into a more liberated sphere, I would say that we have a lot more freedom to question if we actually want to do what our parents did. And with women being in the workforce now, it makes us question whether we want to have that role of being the mothers and being the housewives. And a lot of the time, that answer is no. In a way, this is kind of a collapse of the structure of society and how I would say the government wanted it to work. I'd say the 1950s society worked pretty well for those in the very top positions in society. There was a very solid structure in place, and this meant that people didn't question basically anything. This kind of society poses very little threat to those in charge because no one is questioning things. So when the 70s and 80s kicked in and there was this rebellion happening against societal norms, this is when things started to take a 180 turn. When we talk about the meaning of life, in this day and age, we tend to focus solely on our careers. For as long as I can remember, there has been this pressure to find the perfect job, and that will provide meaning for your life. So as a result, people go to school and college and study really hard so they can get to university and they can study something that will get them a really good job. My personal story is that I did exactly this. I went to school and I studied really hard, and I ended up going to university and studied medieval history, mainly because I just really enjoyed the subject. Deep down, I knew that this wasn't economically the best choice. Apart from showing that you can read and write really well, a history degree isn't that beneficial in terms of the job market. I did land a heritage job maybe a year after I graduated, and it did require a degree to get in it, which was really confusing because it was just a job on reception and in a cafe and in a pub serving people. So I don't know why they asked for a degree. That was really confusing. At the end of the day, the degree is what helped me land that first full-time job. So I'm really glad that I had that experience. I spent 3.5 years there, and during that time I worked at different venues as well. So I really wanted to do well within that sector, but it is not good money whatsoever. If you are someone who's looking to get into the heritage sector, I would try and go for a higher level job such as a manager, because the money is absolutely appalling unless you are working in the higher levels. So after trying to go for a manager job in that sector as a promotion and failing, I decided to do something else. This is when I got into the administrative side of things. So I took a job with the National Trust, which is just amazing. My first job actually was with the National Trust, and I was so happy to have another opportunity to work with that company. Again though, really bad pay. It was a really good job. I was only there for about 6 months, but I learned so much, and being part of just me and one other person in the admin team, whenever that person was away, which was every other Monday and then holidays, I would run the office essentially, and it was a really good experience because it gave me so much confidence. So whilst I was at the National Trust, I studied for a gym qualification. Very different, I know, but one of my passions is health and fitness, so I really wanted to get into that arena and just kind of see if it was for me. So I did a level 2 gym instructing qualification, and that lasted for about 6 months. It was actually really fun to learn about the human body and nutrition. That kind of stuff fascinates me, and it still does to this day, so I'm so glad that I did that. Even if I'm not going to use it in a job, having that qualification under my belt has given me the knowledge of how I should treat my body and have a little bit more respect for it. Now I work for a university in administration, and it doesn't give me a whole lot of meaning in my life, but it pays the bills, and it is so, I feel so lucky that I get to work from home a few days a week and have that freedom to do things on my lunch, for example, like record these videos. So in that sense, it is really beneficial. Whilst I was thinking about my story, I found it quite interesting because I think it kind of shows that I like dabbling in different areas, but the fact that I haven't stuck with one genre for my life, one area of expertise, I think it shows that perhaps I'm scared of failing, because it's like I don't want to get too good at something or spend too much time in one area and find out that I'm actually not that good at it. So, you know, I have a range of different hobbies that I go through phases of doing them, and I've always found that I get quite bored if I stick with one thing for a while, whether that is a job, whether that is a hobby. I either have to take a break from it or I have to do something new and mix it up. So having hobbies on the side of a, let's say, mundane job is enough. I think life is about what you do outside of work, and it shouldn't be about work itself. I have liked the idea in the past of having a job that is a career, you know, that is it is my joy, and I'm really excited every Monday morning to go in. But I've come to find that that is not what life is about for me personally. I wanted to sort of touch upon other ways that you can find meaning, because we've been talking about careers very heavily in this video. So one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had on this topic is with one of my sisters, and she specifically said that she always knew that she wanted children, and that as soon as her first kid was born, she couldn't imagine life without them. And this is such an interesting thought to me, because I personally don't want children, at least not at this point in my life. I don't see myself as a maternal figure, even though I feel like I would teach my children the right values and the right way to be in the world. I just don't see myself as a mother. So having this conversation with her, I was actually quite jealous in a way, because she knew exactly what she wanted from a very young age. And that is very rare to find. This day and age, with so many possibilities on the horizon, it is so often the case that people just don't know what they want. And that is absolutely fine. The second way we can find meaning in life is a point I just touched upon, and that is our hobbies. So again, not living for your job, but living for the hobbies that surround it. And I hate the thought of living just for the weekend. So I would like to think that hobbies could be something you could do during the week. I resonate with this the most because my hobbies have always been an external reflection of who I am as a person. So I love to sing, I love to play guitar, so that is my virtuoso sort of side. I am very much into physical exercise. That is another one of my passions, and I think hobbies just they tell people who you are as a person, because hobbies are something you choose to do. They're not something you're forced to do, such as a job. This is going to sound really soppy, but another way we can find meaning in our lives, and a lot of people will agree with this, especially now we have the freedom to do so, is to find love and find that one person that you can just spend time with at the weekends, go on trips with, and earn money to actually do things with them. I know that love hasn't really been a focus in the past. It was more that you had to marry someone of a particular class, then you would spend a lifetime with them. You could fall in love, you might not. Having one person that you can truly love unconditionally and grow with is just something else. That there is something about being in love with someone and them being in love with you back that you cannot beat. Oh my god, I get like quite emotional just thinking about it, because I feel like whoever wants to be in love and wants to have that companionship, they should have the opportunity to experience it, because everyone deserves love and everyone deserves not to be lonely. That is essentially what I think life is about. It's honestly about loving your hobbies, and it's about loving someone else. I know that people will definitely disagree with me, but like I said, there is nothing quite like being in love and feeling that grow as well as the years go by. So 2 other ways that you can find meaning. I know a lot of people still do find religion helps them find meaning in life, especially when it comes to death. I don't want to linger on this for too long because it's a very morbid subject, but religion does successfully, for so many people around the world, provide an element of hope and comfort when it comes to death. It provides a little bit of meaning of why we're here and why we then are not here. I have been fascinated with the idea of religion for years. I studied it in college, and then a lot of my history degree was focused on religion. When I studied the Tudors, for example, there was a lot of religious history that came with that. When I walk into churches or cathedrals or anything like that, it gives me a really, I'm not sure of the feeling, it's kind of indescribable. Even though I don't believe in God per se, I like to think that I'm agnostic, so I'm not going to sit here and say that there definitely isn't something there, and it's definitely something that I have thought a lot about as I grew up. But yeah, walking into a church or a cathedral, it just fills me up with this feeling that I cannot explain. Maybe I will never be able to explain it because I won't have that connection with religion, but I can understand why people would believe in something because of that feeling. I love the idea that religion preaches, in that this is the material beginning of the eternal life of the soul, right? It would be lovely to think that there is something after this. I don't know. I will never know what will come after until it actually happens. So the last way I can think that we can give meaning to our lives is through helping others. So whether this is just volunteering down the local secondhand clothes shop, or raising money for a charity by doing a race, or giving someone a compliment on the street, even small acts like that, that can be what gives meaning to a lot of people's lives. The feeling you get when you pay someone a little compliment. For example, I was in work a few months back and this girl walked in. She had the most gorgeous long flowy skirt on, and I can't even remember what it looks like, but I knew that I wished that I could wear that because it was so pretty and it looked amazing on her. So I just, as soon as the thought came into my mind, she was about to walk past me, so I thought I need to tell her that she looks good. So I said to her, like, I love your skirt. The reaction that I got was profound. It was, I think it was surprise and shock to start with, but she turned around and was like, oh my god, thank you so much. And that, I don't know, it just filled me with so much joy because I had that effect on someone. And honestly, that made me joyful for the whole day. Like, I was on a high the whole day from that. It's just such a simple thing to do, paying someone a compliment. and it can have this amazing effect on you. And believe me, that wasn't the reason I did it, but that is the bonus. So to close this video, I just want to say that this topic is so subjective, along with many other things in life, and I think the only thing that matters is finding something that resonates with you. So out of all of these different ways, I'm sure there are many other ways as well, there is going to be something that resonates with you and that just feels right in your heart. So as I said, having hobbies on the side of your full-time job, having that one person that you can call your home and having that love reciprocated, and then also helping others as well. Those three things will always be what give me meaning in life, and they will always feel like they are me, you know, like that is me externally. I will always believe that life is about experiences rather than material possessions or money, because if you think about it, when you look back on your memories, you don't think about buying expensive things or a really big paycheck one month. You think about going out and experiencing the world, whether that means going on holiday or just taking a trip somewhere for the day. Those are the experiences, or those are the memories that you're gonna remember the most in your life. It's that old saying, isn't it? Money cannot buy you happiness. And I find it extremely fascinating how rich people, once they get to a certain point in their wealth, they lose meaning in their lives. Because if you think about it, like as soon as you're born in this society, you are just thinking, how can I get the next best thing? How can I get a job that pays a bit more? And even when you've reached a certain job, you're going to be thinking about the next one, and you're going to be thinking about the next one. It's a never-ending game of cat and mouse, and when people reach those heights and they've got too much money than they know what to do with, it's almost like a curse, because you don't need to work, you don't really need to do anything. In a way, needing money is kind of a blessing, because having a job at least gives us meaning in life. Whether it is the most mundane job in the world and you don't like it, it will give you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I think the same thing happens when people retire. They often can find that they lose meaning as well, because they've worked their whole life and they've had a meaning for that amount of time. And as soon as they stop, it's like, well, what do I do? So on that subject of money, the reason I make these videos is because I genuinely enjoy talking about different topics, and I've always loved making videos ever since I did media in college, which is the only subject I got an A in. I have always enjoyed this creative side of things, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. The last 2 points I want to touch upon is that you shouldn't ever let people tell you what the true meaning of life is. And if you're doing something that someone else might look at and be like, well, that's not going to give you any meaning, don't listen to them. Do what actually resonates with you and brings you joy. I just think this kind of thing is personal, and it's no one else's business apart from your own. Lastly, don't ever feel ashamed about not knowing what you want to do in life, because like I said, society has changed. There is so much pressure on young generations to know what their goal is, and in a materialistic society, you're expected to know what your goal is, and you're expected to want a job that pays, you know, 6 digits so that you can buy the perfect home and possessions to go in it. But that is honestly just capitalism at its finest, trying to get you to buy into this lifestyle. But honestly, it's not going to give you happiness. Just feel comforted in the fact that everyone is looking for the same thing. And even if you do find it, there is always going to be something else that you're striving for. So just relax and enjoy life as it comes, because you are never going to be young again, and you're never going to have this life again. I hope you enjoyed sitting down with me today and talking about this very controversial and in-depth topic. Do let me know in the comments what actually gives you meaning in your lives, because I'd love to know different opinions on this, and I will see you guys in my next video.